I suspect that there are some people out there who were introduced to board wargaming via the Usborne Publishing Battle Books. In this video, we're going to take a trip down memory lane and review the first of them here on Legendary Tactics. When I was a kid, somewhere around grade 4 or 5, I was in my school library when I stumbled upon an Usborne Battle Book. I think it was the second one in the series, Knights at War. But there were 4 of them there, and I signed out each and every one of them multiple times. I distinctly remember playing these board games after school. They combined some educational content with some games that helped to bring that learning to life. The second half of each book contains 4 games, each with a size A3 full-color board, along with monocolour pieces that are to be cut out and used as counters or folded like a triangle to make stand-up pieces with 2 faces. I had forgotten all about them until recently when they suddenly came to mind and I started to do some research. I wasn't sure how many people had enjoyed these books and games as I had, so I could only do one thing: make some videos about them. We will start with the first book and the games therein. Buffalo Hunters is a tactical hunting game for 2 to 4 players, where each player controls a chief and a brave trying to hunt buffalo and capture horses and bring them back to their camp. The animals scatter when approached, however, so the challenge is to drive them into ambushes or natural obstacles. Horses increase mobility by doubling the hunter's speed and are essential for transporting dead buffalo, but can be stolen by rivals, even from camps. Since the hunters can also fight each other, positioning and timing are as important as the chase. The first player to get 3 dead buffalo back to their camp wins. The game plays like a mix of a tactical hunt and a sneaky race, balancing herding with opportunistic raids, with direct player conflict always looming. Buffalo Hunters is an odd fit for a book called Battlegame, since it's more about hunting and herding than fighting. While the game plays in about half an hour, the endgame can drag as players tussle endlessly over the last buffalo. Overall, it is clever but frustrating and unlikely to lead to repeated plays. Red Cloud's War is a 2-player asymmetric game recreating the fight for control of the Bozeman Trail that occurred during the titular conflict between 1866 and 1868, emphasizing the precariousness of frontier supply chains. The US government player must keep slow-moving wagon trains of supplies moving safely along the trail from Fort Laramie to Fort Keogh, while Red Cloud's warriors ambush and disrupt the line to starve out the fort. It's a tense logistics versus raiding struggle, with survival hinging on timing and positioning. Think of it as a cat-and-mouse wargame. Can the government keep its supply line intact long enough, or will Red Cloud's warriors ultimately choke off the flow of goods? The government player has to balance aggressively pushing the supplies forward with using cavalry to protect wagons against repeated raids, while Red Cloud must avoid direct fights and strike at the supply line as much as possible. With both sides evenly matched, the game is tense and finely balanced, often coming down to the last turn. At 20 to 30 minutes, it plays quickly and is best enjoyed with players swapping roles for a rematch. Iron Horse features light but cutthroat railroad building with plenty of dirty tricks, and again, not really a battle per se. This is part race game, part economic game, and part gunslinger showdown. 2 to 4 players attempt to complete a railroad to Central City, which, conveniently, is in the center of the board. Players send out surveyors and construction gangs and, eventually, a train to the city, but must deal with hostile tribes, rival sabotage, and the hiring of gunmen. Gunmen are ranked by skill and loyalty. They can protect crews, terrorize opponents, or duel each other, but their loyalty goes to the highest bidder. Money comes from a clever card draw system and is used both to fund the work crews, buy the trains, and to hire the gunmen. The roaming tribe adds constant disruption, and the shared market for gunmen creates tense, chaotic interaction. Despite not being a war game, this one is arguably one of the best non-battle games in the series. Fast, funny, and full of tough decisions that take place in about 30 minutes of gameplay. Lincoln County War is a 2-player Wild West shootout dramatizing the Lincoln County War of 1878. On one side, Murphy and Sheriff Pepin's forces represent the entrenched business and political powers. They square off against McSween and Billy the Kid's gang, who are fighting to reach the Chisholm Ranch before the overwhelming gunfire cuts either of them down. This is the most cinematic of the 4 games, playing out like a classic Western film with high stakes and sudden reversals. Each side controls about a dozen figures on the hex map, but since only one piece can move per turn, most units end up as ineffective bystanders. Combat uses simple dice for the rifles and pistols, and the sheriff's Gatling gun is automatically effective, but slow-moving. While the premise sounds exciting, the gameplay is unsatisfying and oddly unbalanced. The outlaw escape route often plays out predictably with few meaningful choices. Attempts at house rules can speed things up, but might not really fix the core issues, which leads to a disappointing end result. Overall, Book 1 is arguably the weakest entry in the series, though there is some fun to be had. Red Cloud's War stands out as likely the best game of the 4, while Buffalo Hunters comes across as rather odd. The remaining 2 games fit reasonably well within the niche of quick, 30-minute introductory board games for children, but don't rise much above that level. Stay tuned for more coverage of these classic books. Thanks for watching, and please consider liking, subscribing, or even becoming a member so we can continue to bring these blasts from the past. This is Legendary Tactics.